Welcome back, everybody. Let's take a break with Stephen Shamus. How are you
Good
doing?
to see you, my friend. How's it going this week?
It's fantastic. Every day is a good day. Above ground.
It's almost the new year.
It
You're
is.
ready to celebrate, or it's around the new year, depending on when people are watching
Yeah,
this.
in the new year, by the new year, yeah.
I don't know. We'll see if we can watch the ball drop. I don't know what they're going to do.
If you're watching this video, then nothing bad happened. YouTube,
There's no
YouTube is still
apocalypse.
up. Yeah, YouTube is still up. We're still rolling. I'm editing. It's fine.
There's no Walking Dead, 30 Days a Night.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it happening.
Definitely not 30 Days a Night in New York. It's too bright.
Right. Okay. So what do we got this week, Alex?
Yeah, we're going to go a couple new books. Again, we haven't really done a lot of, like we said last week, we haven't done a lot of doubles. So we're going to jump right back into it. Talk Gru the Wanderer, which just got new announced. An old book. Sergio Aragonés is probably one of the best people in comics. The Matrix.
I know Kung Fu. Show me.
We're going to talk Fearless Defenders, not Defenders, Fearless. We're talking a couple more rare variants. More Spider-Man that are variants that are just like impossible to find or just extremely expensive. And my old favorite, Mouse Guard.
Yeah, I think that also got announced. I think that also got announced for something, right? Or is it just okay?
Yep.
All right, Alex. What are we going to kick it off with?
Let's talk Gru the Wanderer.
So what is going on with that property? The prices have exploded. I feel like I say the prices have exploded at least 2 or 3 times a week, every week now. That seems to be the norm. We saw the Ninja Turtles break some records. We see Superman 1 breaking records.
Yep.
What is going on with Gru the Wanderer?
I think we're finally going to get a Gru the Wanderer animated series or quick, funny live action series. This is something that Sergio Aragonés, if you're into comics, you know who Sergio Aragonés is. Mad Magazine guy. He did a lot of the stuff on the sides of Mad Magazine. But Gru the Wanderer has been a kind of like your Jimbo, Usagi Yojimbo. It's the same kind of people grew up together, and this has just been around forever. Funny Conan the Barbarian kind of take.
Right. So I remember getting a Gru sketch from Sergio at San Diego Comic-Con. It had to be 1989, 1988. I mean,
early.
Crazy. He's got the mustache. He's got the mustache.
He is, one of the best.
He's got the mustache. Okay. Destroyer Duck #1, February of 1982. There are 107 Blue Label 9.8s, 117 Blue Label 9.6s. The book is over $1,200 now.
There's a lot of things in there. There's a lot of stuff in there.
And the 9.6s are even $325.
Yeah.
Alex, get this. It's got a Jack Kirby and Neil Adams cover.
Yep.
How about that?
This is a book that's been
Jack Kirby art.
It's one of the last Jack Kirby comics, I feel like. And
I was surprised.
By Neil Adams is a big deal. Those are 2 of the greats.
Again, also like Neil Adams, he doesn't really ink other people because he's kind of the star of the show.
He's his own book,
but it just shows you the power of Jack Kirby that everyone would be like,
I'll ink him.
I'll ink Jack Kirby, of course, right?
Exactly.
And then 10 months later, Gru #1, December of 82, 129 Blue Label 9.8s. There's actually 41 Gold Label 9.8. Sergio actually is pretty out there. He'll do the big stuff. Yep. He'll do the big stuff. That book is about $400 in 9.8, which seems very reasonable. $130 in 9.6. It's from Pacific Comics, first appearance of the Sage and Taranto. Sergio Aragonés biography, Sergio Aragonés story, cover, and art.
Yep.
Then you have the Gru special from October of 84. There are 46 Blue Label 9.8s. That's about a $400 book. That's all Sergio Aragonés.
Yeah.
And then Gru #1 came out from Marvel and Epic in March of 85. That was the first Marvel one. 114 Blue Label 9.8s. There's actually 3 Blue Label 9.9s, and that's
about that's pretty big.
Yeah, and that's only $150. So I mean, that book's from 85.
I would buy
36 years, 36 years old. $150. You can't beat that. All right, cool. All right, what do we got next, Alex?
Let's talk Matrix. We got a little resurgence in the Matrix coming in.
100%. You're seeing the resurgence. They are releasing it on HBO Max.
Yes.
Same days in theaters on the 22nd. It's coming out the week after Spider-Man. Perhaps they felt that Spider-Man was going to suck all the energy out of the room, and the best way to get the largest audience was to put it on HBO Max. I probably agree with that. I mean, I will absolutely be watching that on the 22nd. So talk a little bit about culturally, it feels like the Matrix has had a very big impact. Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, Lawrence Fishburne, all the characters that were in that film. And there was a comic book preview that came out back in '99, and this book has gone crazy. Because there's all this new hype again around the Matrix.
Yeah, I mean, the Matrix movie definitely is like your early 2000s. I mean, this was the cultural phenomenon. I mean, the movie came out and it just destroyed everything. It was everything everybody was talking about. The 2 sequels that were, whatever you want to think of them, they're good, they're fine. It's the Matrix, it's crazy. But like this cyberpunk world of computers and being inside and lied to and everything was so impactful. It was kind of the first really movie that dealt with that to the mainstream that wasn't like an indie movie. And they made some comic books, and the one we're going to talk about it was a preview book that was recalled. They're supposed to be given out at the Matrix screenings in '99, and they were recalled due to people complaining about what was inside, and it was too adult for a giveaway. One of the cool things about this book that was recalled, Bill Sienkiewicz did a pinup in there. Ted McKeever did some art in there, and Jeff Darrow, who, if you've never read Shaolin Cowboy or just seen any of Jeff Darrow's art, Big Guy and Rusty, one of the best books of all time. His art is phenomenal. He was the storyboard artist for The Matrix, and he did the cover to it. So a lot of big names in this book.
Yeah. So a Matrix comic book preview came out in March of '99. Like you said, it was recalled. It was put out by Warner Brothers. 139 Blue Label 9.8s, 101 Blue Label 9.6s. It's about a $700 book today in 98 hours.
Boy.
Yeah, and like you said, it was recalled due to mature content, just like you said. So Paul Chadwick's story from Concrete. Concrete never really took off. I mean, my brother has an original concrete brick that he painted on it. It's pretty neat, actually.
What's your brother's address again? Can you just
Did you ever see that, by the way? Paul painted on a bunch of bricks back in the day?
That's amazing. I love, I've read the first at least 10 of Concrete. It's phenomenal stuff.
That book was a hot series back in the day. And Paul did a limited edition number of, I think he just painted them for friends or whatever. He painted on a brick.
Yeah.
An actual like brick to a house.
Yeah.
And he painted the character Concrete on the brick.
Wow.
We still have it, but it's heavy as hell. I have it somewhere.
How would Heritage sell something like that? I mean, the buyer's premium must be high because of shipping.
I don't know. You got to ship it. I think probably weighs 10 pounds for a brick.
At minimum.
Yeah. It's pretty heavy. Okay. So what do we got next, Alex?
Yeah, let's talk a little Fearless Defenders.
Any reason why you see that these books have been going up, these Fearless Defenders?
My only thing with something like this, where it's a Valkyrie and a Misty Knight kind of book, and they're kind of, teamed up. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Spider-Man, please don't keep listening, but the new Spider-Man movie and Hawkeye, really, because you get both. You're getting Kingpin, you're getting Daredevil that are in both of those things. So everybody is still open. I think Misty Knight was one of the best things of that Defenders Netflix Power Man series. I think a lot of people really were big fans of hers. Valkyrie of Tessa Thompson. I mean, if you told me that there was a Tessa Thompson, Misty Knight, Valkyrie miniseries on Disney Plus, I'd buy it all over again. I'd give them more money.
Yeah, Tess is pretty remarkable. She's
so I think there's a little speculation. Also, it was canceled after 13 issues, so the print run on all of these books have to be very small.
I know.
It's not going to be a lot.
I haven't even heard of these books until I saw the prices on them.
And it's again, I think you're just seeing a lot of the stuff that's like, the Marvel now, they threw a lot at the wall, hoping a lot of things would stick. And this was something that just didn't work out. It got canceled, but I think people are thinking, if it got canceled 13 issues, it's going to be rare.
Got it. All right. So Fearless Defenders #1, April of 2013. So it's 8 years already. It's got a Mark Brooks cover. There are 4 Blue Label 9.8s. It's got a Cullen Bunn story with Will Sliney art. It's about a $3 to $5 raw book. No big deal. You could probably buy those and pick those up. Then there's a Manara 1 in 50 variant, Alex. There's 40 Blue Label 9.8s. That's an $800 book, $250 raw.
Not cheap. People love that Milo Manera.
Yeah. This guy Milo Manera is on fire. Okay. Then the Mike Diodato 1 in 50 variant cover, not quite as expensive as the Manara variant. There are 3 Blue Label 9.8s. That's about a $50 to $75 raw book. Then there's the blank sketch edition. There is 1 Blue Label and 23 Gold Label 9.8s because it's sketch edition. Those are $5 to $10 raw. And then there's the Scotty Young variant edition where they have the babies. 13 Blue Label 9.8s, and that's about a $100 book. So this Manara variant, I bet you could find, again, I don't think you're going to buy it cheap, but I think you could find these at shows. Like, I don't think that they're.
Yeah. I go to local stores that are not New York and LA. I think you might find them. I think you might find them.
Right. Okay, Alex, it's time for Alex's pick of the week. What do you got for us?
Whoever said that Funko's the bubble was going to pop in Funko. Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. That's a runaway train.
It's not happening. It's not happening. Funko only went to one show this year, which is Emerald City. Physically at one show, Emerald City. The lines were out the door. You couldn't get in that booth. There's no slowing down. Funko Pops are not going anywhere. They didn't go to New York, so everybody had the chance to go online and buy the New York Comic-Con stuff. So, you would think if something like Funko was slowing down at the show, no one's going to care. Absolutely not. The Emerald City Funkos are flipping for double to triple. The lines at the show store for them were out the door. This is a train that is I think may just never end. So there's always more properties.
So I'm at all the signings for all the artists. Kit Harington, Amelia Clark, Josh Brolin. The percentage that we get of Funkos it's like the #1 item at every one of these sightings. It's the #1. We get a lot of trading cards. We get tons and tons of Funkos. You do get some props, and then there's photos and posters. But just seems that the Funkos just blow everything else.
Never ending. It's the perfect collectible to get signed, to transport, to put on your shelf. You can pull the item out, send the box in, get it signed, put it back, put the item back in. No one would know the difference. There's no tape seal. It's not a thing. Like the sealed Funko, like everybody has them sealed. That's the thing. These literally are not going everywhere. And as they keep making movies, there's going to be Spider-Man No Way Home. There's going to be 40
Hawkeye,
different,
Hawkeye, Eternals,
there's going to be
everything.
So much, and it never ends. And we're just talking like Marvel. Everything.
They make everything. They make everything. Yeah, I hear you. I'm with you. All right. So on the rare variants, we've got 2 new that I just recently tripped over. These are crazy, Alex. So I want you to talk to us about why these are so crazy. So the first one is Amazing Spider-Man number 688, J. Scott Campbell variant edition. Came out in August of 2012, 9 years ago. The book is selling in 9.8 for $3,200. The book is selling in 9.6 for $1,750. Talk to me a little bit about what is going on with these kinds of books.
I think what we've talked about this in the past of why some variants are going for more than normal. Why a 1 in 50 is now a $800 book. And I think what you need to see is there's a 1 in 50 of Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a very popular book, but it's not always very popular. And I think this series was a very low order book. And I think the number of 1 in 50s in the wild are not as high as you would think for the Amazing Spider-Man. This is towards the end of Dan Slott's run. This is after Superior. I think you're just seeing people noticing how many actual comics of something are in the wild, right? So you have this book, there's a 1 in 50, and then there's a previews exclusive cover. The previews exclusive cover, there's a ton of those. That's not the one. It's the 1 in 50. I don't think people were ordering as many as high as these books were, and I think they're just rare.
Crazy. So there are 29 9.8s and there's 43 9.6s, but $3,000. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Then the next one is very, very interesting, and maybe you know about it. There was a Uniqlo variant for Amazing Spider-Man number 20, which on the legacy numbering is number 821. It was a Uniqlo variant with a Jason Poland cover. Came out in June of 2019. There are two 9.8s. There's one 9.6. The 9.8 just sold for $9,000. You can't find these books raw. What was a Uniqlo variant? I mean, what was that, Alex?
So Uniqlo is a clothing company.
Yes.
And that is a company that is, you know, it's a lot of imported, like Japanese type style clothing. There's a big one in New York City, but most big malls will have a Uniqlo. I think the thing here to really look at is Jason Poland. Jason Poland was a fine artist. This is an artist that was in the New Yorker, the New York Times, McSweeney's. This artist is big outside of the comic book world. And also he passed away at 37. So this guy is, he passed away last year in January 2020.
Wow.
So when you're talking about a comic book for a clothing store by an artist that would usually never ever be in the comic book world, a fine artist, and this guy in the art world was very, very big and very popular. His art book sold a lot of books. So now you're getting the smash, right? You're getting the art world realizing that you want a thing that is very limited, which is a variant cover of a comic book, very limited. You get that together, they're going to start paying money for it. And this is where we're at.
Yeah, he passed away of cancer.
Yeah,
age 37. Can you
37?
Imagine?
That's 1 year younger than me.
In January of 2020. Horrible.
Crazy.
Horrible.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So Nick Spencer's story, Humberto Ramos and Victor Olazaba art with Jason Poland cover. Yeah. Okay.
Great cover. Fantastic cover. Yeah.
Good to know, Alex. If you can find one of these books in any condition, I would pick one up.
Totally.
All right. What are we closing out with tonight, Alex?
Mouse Guard.
By the way, I've remembered Mouse Guard. I remember David Peterson coming to our show for 20 years back at Wizard World Chicago. I mean, he came to our show almost every year. I think he was from Chicago. I don't know.
Yeah, Midwestern guy.
That book always had a following to it. And now it's going to be a media property, correct?
I think it's been kicked around studios for a very, 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 very long time. I think just now it's actually starting to see some light of day. You know, people will option things. You'll hear a lot of times that something is optioned. Oh, it's optioned. It's optioned. All that means is that somebody is paying somebody else to maybe make that into a property. Usually an option's about 3 to 5 years. If they're not making something, if they're not actively making something, it runs out, reverts back to the original creator, and the creator can now option it again to somebody else. So I think you see this with Mouse Guard a lot. I think it's a prime property for animated or claymation or something along those lines, but it's mice. It's a mice, kind of like a sword and sorcery minus sorcery. It's a lot of knights, but they're mice, like the mice, the Knights Templar, but with mice. And I think, you know, David Peterson's art is beautiful. This is one of those books that when it came out, it was an arcane comic. It was odd sized. It was like short magazine size. It's not a regular size comic book, and it sold like hotcakes. I remember this hit the stands. I think mine is a third print, maybe. And then I have the first print of the other ones, but it just was like it was a hit as it hit stands. Got it.
Well, it's moving up there. It's moving on up. Mouse Guard number 1, 2005. There are 3 9.8s, 6 9.6s, and 6 9.4s. A 9.8 just sold for $2,700.
It's a small print run. Yep.
You're starting to see with Ninja Turtles and all this other stuff, Alex.
Yep.
Wraparound cover, black and white interior, Mouse Guard pinup by Guy Davis, David Peterson story cover and art. And then Mouse Guard number 1, the second series, February of 2006, 60 blue label 9.8s. I could not find any for sale, raw or 9.8.
Yeah.
Belly of the Beast wraparound cover, David Peterson. The second print came out in April of 2006. There's only 4 9.8s. The third print came out in June of 2006. There's 5 9.8s. So again, there's no pop on those. I would try to start trying to find those Mouse Guards I think you're starting to see on a lot of these vintage indie books, you
Yeah.
just 2005, 2006, Alex, you're starting to go back 15, 16 years on some of these things. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Yep. And
Yeah.
again, these weren't, you had to put them in a golden board and bag. They weren't, you couldn't just board and bag them. So these are definitely kicking people's bookshelves. People threw them away,
Right.
gave them to kids. Like, these are hard to find.
Right. All right. So I think that does it for another show. We thank you everybody for joining us. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the fields down below, and we will see everybody next week, same bat time,
Same bat channel. Thanks, guys.